let's talk a little bit about breadth of experience then, because, you know, in your industry there's this consolidation of industries that's going on and consolidation of companies over, and then you've got the whole online thing going on with Amazon Supply. And, you know, what I've heard is that Amazon Supply is all about the commodity price. You know, if you know exactly what you want, commodity price, and that's Amazon's game. That's their entire platform. Why would it be different with Amazon Supply? But what they don't have is, you know, that experienced professional in your industry with, you know, 25, 30 years of experience who can answer an in-depth question. So, experience is important. But then you only have 2 years in the industry and you're kicking butt, it sounds like.
It's hard to compete with in some aspects, but also these days we're so wired, like, that you can find the information. And the key to, I think, getting the most experience is through reps. And rep relations are just as important, if not more, than the contractors.
So now we're back to the relationship thing, because now we're back to, if I don't have actual years of experience or decades of experience, then I can rely on my reps who will bring that to the table, and it's a team effort. I mean,
I don't think you always need to know the answer, you just need to know how to get the answer. You know, and that's what he's speaking of.
We were leaving the architects out of this whole deal because some of the reps have relationships, or many of the reps have relationships with the architects.
That's how they get spent.
And they get paid on the price of the job. So they aren't budget conscious at all, I don't think. So the more the material is, the bigger their cut or commission. So, and even if the things are changed or there's equals given of a lower price, they still make the commission on the higher price, supposedly.
Actually, sorry, designer is one of these cases. The designer architect are really mad that we did it. And they actually literally called us and said, who do you think you are? Like, you think you know about these things, blah, blah, blah. And then
I put those in for a reason,
for a reason, that's why, you know. And then all we told them is, hey, it's the same human, same blah, 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 that we expect all of this little design change, and your boss has no problem with you. They are promised to take care of it. And then just hung up. Now, you know.
So you'll never work with that architect again?
Well, the architect is hired by the...
No, I understand.
So it's like a totally different relationship.
Right.
That relationship doesn't really need to be maintained by us. Because, honestly, from the supplier and the architect standpoint, like, we don't work together, period. Because they go through their, you know, contractors.
But what Gary's saying is that architect was going to get a cut. Right?
They always get a cut.
No way.
Forget a cut of a smaller cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of a sudden you just chop that guy's, you know, revenue. I mean, of course he's upset.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, at the same time, sometimes they're doing it without knowing it. Like architects, like, you cannot give them credit for knowing everything about this job better than us. Like, they will know some of the manufacturers out there. They'll know what they know too. So when they spec something for a job, like, you know, and you explain to them, okay, well, these have the same things, then they have nothing else to say to them.
If you're having one-on-one conversations with the architect and engineer, I would probably make better use of that time with them than arguing with them. I'm just saying, because to get their ear is a good thing.
Well, sometimes with the other question, they can't do it.
That's just my opinion.
Mickey?
The one comment I would make is that as a manufacturer in the industry, is when you're talking about offering up, you know, 2 different options. Here's a quote on this manufacturer and a quote on this manufacturer. If you were my distributor and I knew that you were taking my product and putting my product up against another one's to compete for a job, I'm going to be a little leery about what I give you for a price, because when you're talking about relationships in the industry, I give a lot and I expect a lot out of my relationship. So I want that support, and I'm going to support you if you're truly supporting me in a partnership. So sometimes it may not be the best thing to offer. If you're just using me to give them another option, then I'm going to think differently about you as a distributor. Just saying, from a manufacturer's perspective, there's that other thing, so that's a very
so how do you walk that tightrope? I was going to say, how do you walk that tightrope then? Because it sounds to me like he's doing his customer a solid by saying, you asked for bacon, have you thought about sausage, you know, or I've got turkey bacon, or, you know, whatever. Well, so he's giving him a viable alternative, but I totally understand your perspective too, which is...
It depends on how it's brought up, I think, and when you're saying to the guy out of the blue, hey, have you thought about this? I'm not sure exactly why you would do that unless the deal wouldn't going to be closed the other way. If a guy said you're high, or said I need cost savings, then your thing, my opinion, is you should go back to that vendor and say they're looking for cost savings.
But he's saying that he's not waiting for that conversation, that he's saying, I can save you some money on this with a comparable product, right? Is that what you're saying to your client? And who's not going to want that?
Well, he's starting a new business. He has no alternative but to change the game. The status quo he is not part of.
But again, that's selling on price alone, and price does matter, but we're all coming back to saying relationship.
I disagree with you. He's selling, the proposition that he's giving him in that example is price, but what he's also demonstrating by doing that is, I'm thinking about your business, I'm thinking about what's in your best interest. If I were you, I'd want to know if there were any viable alternatives that could save me $180,000. I mean,
this is there's a misconception because we do stop a lot of times.
Speak up.
Like Mike said, it's very important to be honest with the reps. The reps know all our reps, all our stocking manufacturers who visit us, like every day at our CDC location, like they all know what's going on. We share business. We love to share business. Whatever amount we do, that's the price that we're setting up front. The service that we're offering, I mean, lighting is this particular case. You know, lighting is very, like, I think it's not fair, to be honest, for the contractor. So that's why we offer that same service for the lighting department separate. If it's for a quote like a regular electrical job where it's, you know, common stock items that are being supported, like air products or, you know, rainbow products, whatever, then we'll just price whatever, you know, that they ask for. Unless they ask for a specific alternative, like a cheaper, you know, buyout, of course. But lighting is totally different because a lot of these contractors get taken advantage of. A lot of the owners get taken advantage of. A lot of commercial residential areas, they get taken advantage of.
I agree 100%, and that comes back to what I was saying earlier, is that I mean, you know, I worked for a manufacturer, and you have 3 different columns basically saying this is the commission you get, this commission or this commission on a product. There's also a nasty little word called overage, and that's where that $180,000 can come from. And that has nothing to do with a materials type product. It's lighting, and that's the issue, and that's the controlling. That's usually where the money is either in the gear or the lighting. So.
I think I'm going to chime in for just a second.
Could you just introduce yourself real quick?
Paul Shields with the Hay Company. And,
hi, Paul.
I think it's safe to say what you're hearing here is an extremely oversimplistic view of each of these very, very deep, intricate issues that the industry faces. Pricing is very complicated, complex. You were saying, Michael, about you should know the price of that product. You do until it's on a job, because the manufacturer will change that pricing by type, by fixture type, to hide their true costs on anything. And they do that partly because a contractor will tear it apart and later try to buy it and say, you sold it to me for $29, why is it $35? And
well,
here people do the same thing. I mean, that's just the kind of the way the industry has always worked. As they build a package, they're gonna hide the true cost of the product. So you can't really get caught up on, I think I know. The gentleman over here, we have a value engineering department. Sooner or later, you're gonna get burnt if you're not careful with that architect, because you're gonna specify a product that is gonna fail, and there's gonna be nobody behind you to support you. We have a couple of jobs where that's happened. Thankfully, we weren't part of it, but there's a casino where LED fixtures have failed across the board now, $500,000 job, and the manufacturer, the person that did do it was a contractor, got involved, offered the alternate. Manufacturer said, we're not stand behind it. And there was no architect or anybody to put any pressure on that manufacturer because they didn't specify it. So you start to get outside that circle, you have to be extremely cautious about what you do, how you do it, and if you alienate that guy, he will burn you somewhere in your future. When you try to get something specified, you were kind of alluding to that, Mike, he's not going to approve it. So you got to keep them as allies as well. And Michael, I would say we have the same issue with the rep agencies. They go direct with the pricing, and we have a great relationship with them because there are a lot of value-added things we do, and those reps know it, and they know at the end of the day, if we're doing our job properly, that contractor is going to say it's going to us. And then he already knows if it's coming there, it's going to be at a higher margin because we're going to do an awful lot of things our competitors, the other distributors in this room don't do, like storing that package, breaking it down, shipping it by floor, whatever it is. we're gonna do a lot of things that add cost into that,
Right.
but save you a tremendous amount of time and money. And I would hold you guys a little bit to task on the comments about your outside sales force. That's a reflection of you, not them. If you've allowed them to degrade to that level, that they're just taking donuts and doing milk runs,
I didn't say that, I was just shouting at you.
Shame on all of you, because they are an extremely valuable part of the industry. They should be your most experienced, most knowledgeable people. They should know your business inside and out, Mike, and it should not be so casual that you're going to lunch. It should be a partnership. And they should be looking at your profitability and saying, if you're not being profitable, we have to do something on our side to fix that, because we want you here for the longevity. You know, it takes a lot of work to create a new contractor and a new relationship and a new partnership. So we need to make sure you're succeeding, and if they're not doing that, then shame on them. But cautious on the rep side. When you think you're getting the right price, we can tell you you're not. And if you don't have that relationship with the distributor that's watching on the back end, and Mike alluded to that as well, they're not always giving the same price. They've got preferred people on any given job for any reason, where I owe this guy one because the last job went bad and I've got to make up 20 grand because I didn't have any overage in it to cover those losses. So now I've got to make it up by getting him the next job, and they control it on the front end by giving that contractor the preferred price and helping them write it. So you need a good, solid distributor behind you to say, hey Mike, I kind of know the inside, I know what the numbers are out there in the street, and yours is a little high. Use this number. Because, you know, we've watched that where they're giving that number out there direct, and you think you got them on the inside, and that's not the case. So you could dive into any one of these things so deep and take all day and be in here and go through this, but
we're going to 8 o'clock tonight,
yeah,
so let's
we're
go.
really very simplistic view of some very deep issues our industry is facing collectively. And
I don't know that they're simplistic, but I think we're just touching the surface. But again, you got different markets here, and that's why I questioned it when I said no distributors are helping, no distributors are adding any value. I find that odd. It's not like that in my market.
No, I mean, it's not that way for us. We've been extremely successful growing, and you know, but we do a lot of things that help that happen. You know, Rob kind of turned to me and he said, "I'm glad we've figured a lot of this out by now." You know, because and you guys might not yet, but I think you will, and the contractors will help you. You know, members of NECA, there's a lot of really good things happening inside that organization to help contractors get smarter.
Sure, we do a training facility, help them get their points for their code classes, and we have a 40-room training facility that we constantly use and lend to anybody to drive traffic through our location, and have gotten a lot of contractor business out of that once they come in.